Good evening, Saitlanders. How are you? We trust that you are well. I'd like to introduce a subject that has been, for the most part, poorly covered by South African mainstream media, and it's a very big thing. Of course, no matter how great the scandal, and we're going to be discussing scandal in the African National Congress, they pretend it didn't occur. 100 billion rand, carry on as if nobody ever goes to jail. Nobody, like the arms deal scandal, 1-0. 1-0, Tony Yengeni. One guy, all of those billions. A firm in Switzerland was fined last week, today being Friday the 9th of December, but this video will go up over the weekend. Last week, another fine was imposed by yet another European country on yet another business for their dodgy dealings. If you read, dear me, what is this? This is fantastic, unbelievable. It was sent to me by a Saitlander. Thank you very much. N from Magaliesburg. I'm not going to say any more of your name. Where are you? I just want to get this book's name because it is really worth it. If any of you read it, you will never regret it, and you will send me messages saying, gee, that's the best reference I've ever had. Oh, come on, Simon. What's wrong with you, man? Right. Got it. Sorry, everybody. Let's just get the title page here. Come on. Come on. Come on. Come on. Oh. Goodness sake, Simon. Sorry, everybody. Here we go. I apologize for all of that, because it gets on my nerves when people pause, during videos. R.W. Johnson, South Africa's Brave New World, the beloved country since the end of apartheid. If you read that book, you will get grey hairs. These guys do whatever they like. One guy goes to jail. Hundreds of them took billions. And what about the COVID money? The list just never ends. So, my point is, not that much is ever going to come of this, but you should know. Listen to this from the Daily Maverick, dated the 5th of December 2022. A report entitled Land Scam Kingpin, Deputy President David Mabuza named as top suspect in organized crime complaint. If it's not the flipping president, it's the deputy president. On the morning of 5th December 2022, the investigating directorate of the National Prosecuting Authority received a criminal complaint from the organization Undoing Tax Abuse, OUTA, under the Prevention of Organized Crime Act, POCA, with Deputy President D.D. Mabuza named as the lead suspect. The allegations cover a litany of charges that stretch from 2022 to the present day, mainly to do with the land claims scam and the case of conservationist and whistleblower Fred Daniel. For the first time, all aspects of the case are submitted in a single affidavit, including the contents of the missing dockets, as reported by Daily Maverick in August 2022. The top line of this reads as follows. We propose that the suspects referred to in the paragraphs below be charged under the umbrella offence of contravening Section 2(1)(d) of the Prevention of Organised Crime Act number 121 of 1988, in that they acquired or maintained, directly or indirectly, any interest in or control of the following criminal enterprises. The implication of this sentence, so that was a quotation, the top line of this affidavit. Now we return to the original journalism. The implication of this sentence, which introduces the criminal complaint submitted by the Organization Undoing Tax Abuse OUTA to the Investigating Directorate of the National Prosecuting Authority, NPA, may very well be that President Didi the Cat Mabuza has run out of lives. Lodged on the morning of 5 December 2022, the affidavit places Mabuza at the top of a list of 15 suspects, all of whom were allegedly involved in a pair of interlinked criminal enterprises that, according to a 2015 report compiled by retired Judge Willem Heath, cost the South African economy in excess of 35 billion rand. Among the specified crimes listed under the umbrella of poker are defeating the ends of justice, theft, fraud, perjury, contempt of court, intimidation, extortion, and conspiracy, incitement, or attempt to commit any offence referred to in Schedule 1 of poker. The affidavit incorporates an intricate web of allegations that stretches back to 2002, 2 years before the so-called land claims scam was exposed in the South African press. Significantly, it relies for the most part on oral and documentary evidence already submitted to the Pretoria High Court, where conservationist Fred Daniel has been waging a 12-year battle against Mabuza and the South African government. Daniel's 1 billion rand civil action, covered at length by the Daily Maverick, the only media organization in the country that successfully applied via its lawyers for access to the trial, they didn't even want anybody to be there, has also seen the admission to the court record of a number of expert reports which have been included in the criminal complaint as corroborating evidence. At the same time, the complaint refers to a matter in which Daily Maverick's reporting has been implicated. In March 2022, we published an investigative feature that tracked a reportedly pivotal aspect of the scam, from a hijacked community trust to fake letters of credit and the likely involvement of Pam Golding Properties. The end point of Daily Maverick's reporting was the alleged complicity of Mabuza's wife, Nonhlanhla Patience Nisi. On the back of Daily Maverick's expose in early winter 2022, an investigation was launched by the head of the Serious Corruption Offences Unit of the Hawks, Major General Kubandran Mudli. But the investigation ran out of steam, we reported, when it was discovered that 3 prior criminal dockets, which covered the same allegations as those highlighted in our original piece, had inexplicably been emptied or gone missing. In paragraph 8 of the criminal complaint, OUTA refers to this latter explosive article, so presumably the Maverick's expose, as well as to a further 3 dockets that were likewise tampered with. In the complaint's conclusion, paragraph 266 of the complaint states, the proverbial smoking gun is the removal of evidence from the dockets. And they say here squashing, but the correct word in English is quashing. The quashing of altogether 6 criminal cases pertaining to the criminal enterprises. I broke that tooth and it's still bothering me. For the first time then, OUTA consolidates the full list of investigations, including the contents of the missing dockets, into a single affidavit certain events that have so far not been tested in the Pretoria High Court, such as an alleged pre-planned assault watched over by a smirking Mabuza on a member of Daniel's team, have been listed. So I don't know whether you would describe that as torture or what, but if you're perpetrating assault upon somebody and somebody else is watching over, smirking, presumably you're constrained somehow, or perhaps tied to a chair, perhaps with your hands tied behind your back, perhaps with two burly guys gripping your arms, or who knows, while you're being beaten. While the deputy president, not already then, perhaps, I don't know, because they don't give the date of the alleged assault. But the guy who at least became the deputy president of the new South Africa Rainbow Nation, Simunye We Are One, paragon of international liberalism. The deputy president is supposedly standing there watching while some guy's getting smacked to pieces with a great big smirk on his face. By Daily Maverick's reckoning, although the case remains unavoidably complex, the 41-page affidavit presents the evidence in the most concise and watertight manner possible. It leads the prosecutors, headed by Andrea Johnson of the Investigating Directorate, who, in her own words, is committed to bringing impactful cases to court in the fight against corruption, methodically through the litany of... Okay, so it's just rather overly complicated syntax here. It leads the process methodically through the litany of allegations beginning about 2 decades back and ending in the present. Now, we have a new paragraph, and this paragraph, I beg your pardon, has its own headline. So it's broken up into a few parts. It reads, the land restitution scam. To start, Outer divides the complaint into 2 interlinked criminal enterprises: a land restitution scam and a problem animal fund enterprise. The former, explains Outer, is essentially about obtaining beneficial control of vast tracts of land, sometimes fraudulently, and selling the land at inflated prices to the Land Claims Commission. Oh, they're rotten. While the latter is about generating income by killing wildlife and aiding and abetting the land restitution scam. These enterprises, as Outer alleges, acting in concert and in common purpose, came into conflict with private sector tourism and conservation, and in particular, they targeted Daniel's Cradle of Life project in Mpumalanga. Kicking off with the land restitution scam, Outer cites the Restitution of Land Rights Act and Section 25(7) of the Constitution, specifically the provision that precludes someone dispossessed of rights in land before the 19th of June 1913 from claiming the restitution of land or equitable redress of those rights. To demonstrate how a significant number of claims lodged in the Badplaas region of Mpumalanga were fraudulent. After listing a sample of 8 farms on which claims were lodged in the early 2000s. Oh, I understand now what they're saying there. They're saying that in the Constitution it says land restitution may not pertain to events before the 19th of June 1913. The famous 1913 Land Act refers. So what they're saying is, look, in practice, these whites have just been terrible. They've taken everything. Oh, aren't they so dastardly? But pragmatically speaking, we just can't possibly be expected to address matters that occurred in 1674 and 1712 and 1809. How on earth can we be expected to unearth reliable evidence for that? It's just not practical. Therefore, let's do it this way. Land restitution and so on will pertain only to land confiscated or taken or whatever, and the restitution thereof. That was, whatever, from the 19th of June 1913. Meaning, in those cases, there'll be good records. The British had just won the Anglo-Boer War a dozen years before. This was done under, the aegis of the British Empire. The British had many technocrats and bureaucrats and administrators and so on in the country. Precise records were kept of who lost the land, who gained it, what section of land it is, very precisely, all of the coordinates. How did it happen? When did it happen? Why did it happen? To whom did it happen? What exactly happened? You name it. Okay. So the implication of the paragraph then is, hey, if land that was taken in that period is the only land that is ever eligible for restitution, and there are good records of it, then we can demonstrate that these other 1,000 claims around Badplassen and Mpumalanga are false, because they don't correspond to the thorough records that were kept initially by the British in the Union of South Africa and subsequently by the National Party government from 1948 to 1994. Whether in the Commonwealth or in the time of the Republic from the 31st of May 1960. After listing a sample of 8 farms in which claims were lodged in the early 2000s, the affidavit bluntly states, "It is evident from the historical deeds and property registers of the above farms that President Paul Kruger granted title to Boers long before the Land Act of 19 June 1913. Then Outer mentions for the first time the architect of the land restitution scam, Mpumalanga businessman Pieter Versace, who is named as the second suspect, directly below Didi the cat Mabuza." Homing in, not to be a punk about this, but the correct expression is honing in. Honing in. We're not talking about carrier pigeons. Honing in on the farm Vegeboom, Outer provides the NPA with hot links to the title deed and property register which show that the land was granted to the original owner in 1870. On the 6th of April 2002, the affidavit explains a corporate entity controlled by Versace and V8, it says comma V8 cattle ranch, but there's not a third person in the list. So Versace V8 cattle ranch purchased, owns it, a corporate entity controlled by Versace, V8 cattle ranch, namely V8 cattle ranch, purchased Vegeboom for 1.2 million. It is here that the pattern of extreme overvaluation of the farms ultimately paid for by the South African taxpayer, that's you, with the complicity of the Mpumalanga Regional Land Claims Commission comes into focus. On the 22nd of August 2003, the affidavit notes Never, my tongue is swollen. Never, na, 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 na. The Land Claim Commissioner of the MRLCC obtained an independent evaluation of Vijgenboom from Clifford Michael Brandon, who certified the market value of the property on page 9 of his evaluation at 2.9 million. Brandon, as demonstrated in a seminal Ernst and Young report commissioned by the South African government, was later found to be an agent of Asahi, but more significantly, Ngana, who is listed as the fourth suspect in the affidavit, requested ministerial approval to purchase the 8 farms mentioned above, including the farm Vijgenboom. Now, this article goes on for another, we are only, like a fifth of the way through the article. So, let's keep it a little bit brief, not that brief. You've gotten the gist of the thing. Go and look it up yourself. Daily Maverick, Land Scam, DD the Cat, Mabuza. If you are so fascinated, so intrigued, so interested, that you would really like to read whatever it is, 6,000 words, I don't know. But let it suffice for those of us who are not going to read the entire thing. Let it suffice to say that you can begin to smell. You can begin to smell that this fish stinks, and it stinks from the head. And that there is just no limit to the extent of the ANC's rapine in its own initiatives. Everything it does as the state, it robs, it corrupts, it perverts, it contaminates. The African National Congress poisons everything, even its own things. And that, dear Liberal, is an indisputable assertion. Let's leave it at that, guys. You've got the picture. Go and have a look at the article. I think we've all got a very, very good idea that this is, as they themselves claim, I must say, a pretty watertight thing. Anyway, guys, I hope that that was of some interest to you. Please like, share, subscribe, and please, if you would like to support us, please, 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 we need the help. We are engaged in terrific projects of the greatest gravity. Go to Saitlanders.org, not www.saitlanders.co.za, no, Saitlanders.org. Enter homepage, scroll to the bottom, and there you will find many different means, or vectors, I think is the word that they use, vectors to support us financially. And for that, we are very grateful to you. Thank you, and God bless all of you. Cheerio. Bye-bye.